When we attend a party political congress, we do so for various reasons. I'm talking about you. You come to listen to speakers, you come to vote on party matters, but you also come for a sense of belonging. You come to be among people that think like you. You come to see friends. You come to strengthen a sense of belonging. You come to find, of course, not only in FVD, in many other aspects of your lives, but you come to find that sense of belonging which our political adversaries are determined to destroy. Thierry has made a number of videos about oikophobia, the hatred of the homeland. And he shows in those videos how the globalists' world is one in which everybody is alienated by immigration, alienated by supranationalism, alienated by ugly architecture. And in other words, the globalists create a world in which there is no sense of belonging. But that world, that alienated world, the world of the anywheres, to use David Goodhart's phrase, those people also need a sense of belonging. And they find their sense of belonging in another way. They find it in what we could call the crowd which accuses, the crowd which rejects, the crowd which attacks, the crowd which finds a scapegoat. That produces a sense of belonging and cohesion in alienated societies. And that's why we see these phenomena coming back again and again and again in a vicious circle. I'd like to ask you a question. Please put your hands up if you have ever, in your capacity as members of FVD, suffered professionally, been attacked in your family, felt uncomfortable with your friends. Have you ever felt that the crowd is against you? Yes. I think pretty much everybody in this room has had that experience. And indeed, it's part of our daily lives. I want to tell you a story to illustrate what I mean. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a king who wanted to have a magnificent robe made. And he summoned 2 tailors to make him the most magnificent robe in the world. For the sake of argument, I propose to call these 2 tailors, Pfizer and Moderna. And the 2 tailors spun a magnificent web of transparent lies in which the holder of political authority, the king, was only too delighted to walk around and to show himself in the public space. And as he walked through the public space, wearing this transparent web of lies, a little boy stood in the crowd, and he said, "The emperor has no clothes." And what happened next? The mother took the boy aside and said, "Shh, don't speak like that. Just don't make a fuss. Don't make a fuss. Otherwise people will look at us." And his father took him aside and said, "You're bringing shame on the family. How can you stand out like this?" And then other people gathered around the boy and they said, "You're a conspiracy theorist. You're an agent of a foreign king. You're staatsgevaarlijk." And the crowd said to the little boy, "Alleen samen," only together. You remember the slogan from COVID times. We have to stick together. So the little boy was a very good boy and obedient, and he understood that he'd made a mistake, and he, in his future life, never questioned the crowd ever again. He grew up, he had a successful professional career, and he lived happily ever after. That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. A world in which journalists don't report things but instead operate as instruments of power and tell lies. A world very largely by crowd pressure. A world in which doctors are prepared to put their patients' health at risk through vaccines and so on as a result of crowd pressure. A world in which statesmen are prepared to endanger and destroy the well-being of their own countries, largely because of crowd pressure. Well, all of you who put your hands up just now, and I'm sure everyone else, you are all the little boy in the fairy tale. Not in the real world that I have described, but in the fairy tale. You have, with your discussions with your friends and your family and your colleagues, where you have had the courage to express your feelings, you are the little boy in the fairy tale. And with FVD, you will make the fairy tale come true.